Okay, we're going to look now again at pleasure and pain. It's a very important part of people's lives. Uh, we love pleasure, we're wired that way. We don't like pain, we're wired that way. But if you follow pleasure without thinking about where it takes you, you're in trouble. You would not get on an airplane and choose it because you like the movie that's playing. You don't know where it's going to take you. Now, if we're reasonable people, and we're going to look at the good area up here, the good world, we're going to take that and we're going to avoid this down here. That gives us a yield for tomorrow. And we want to avoid bad yields for tomorrow. That's going to make next week bad. We don't want that. Some questions arise. Why do people keep going down here all the time? Well, people like pleasure, and pleasure can beat pain. If a person is overworked, they're heavily in debt, their life is unsatisfying, there are things you can grab down here, an alcoholic beverage, a glass of chocolate milk with a bag of donuts. There's all kinds to get a hit, a pleasure hit to counterbalance the things in your life that are not going your way. When you do this, you're focusing on the present and not the future. And that's a problem with people. Another thing that can happen is that your friends are going to do what's down here. And you want to be part of the group. You don't want to be the odd person out, so you partake with it. Another thing you'll say to yourself is just one time, that won't hurt anything. And while you're doing these things here, you're missing out. That time could be spent on yield-producing activities. So you have to think about, you got a brain, God gave you a brain, you have to think about where you're going to wind up when you follow anything. Now, sometimes there's things over here we should be doing, but they're painful. Like I said about a person who was given a hard time in high school because they weren't very good at sports. And when they graduate, they just escaped from that all in the past, and they have jobs now working in labs, other things, and nobody makes fun of them. And they just stay away from sports, stay away from physical activity. There are things you can do to overcome that. We need this, all this up here, we need it. And physical activity is a very important part, keeping your body healthy. Some things you can do. Now you got to picture this also. There's two ways to work your muscles and get exercise. One is you go play a game, you play tennis, you paddle a canoe, you're trying to do something else that you like to do or needs to be done. And we're going to a car show, be another thing, walking up and down the roads. You're not trying to get exercise. Your muscles are taking you where you want to go to look for treasures, in that case. But if you aren't good enough to get on a team, there's no opportunity, it's cold, you can't play outside. Then the second way to get exercise, get your muscles moving, is to go to a gym. And the machines that are there are not going to make fun of you. The people aren't going to make fun of you. In the gym I go to, it's no judgment zone. They won't let you make fun of other people. The machine is not going to laugh at you. The machine is going to just be there for you to use to develop yourself. And if you don't know how to use it, there are counselors and people at the gym who will help you do that. Another thing you can do to outpower the pain with pleasure, what I do is when I go into the gym, I do the machines first. I go to the treadmill afterwards. The treadmill has televisions in front of it. You can plug your earphones in and watch television shows. I like current events and political shows, so I watch that. So it's kind of your reward for doing the work in the machine parts. Another thing you can do is condition yourself when you go to the gym and do some work. Then afterwards you have a nice dinner. Or there's some other pleasurable activity you really like, listening to the radio on the way home, like NPR, whatever it is, that conditions you. Do the work, get reward. Another thing you can do to outrun any dullness of walking on the treadmill, if you can find a lady in the gym who's interesting and fun to be with, you start walking with her. If you're a lady, and you see a guy there who looks interesting, get talking to him, have him come over with you on the treadmills, and you can talk about politics, you can talk about current events, you can talk about movies, you can talk about your family, you can talk about education, you can talk about problems you're having at work, whatever it is. The time just flies right by. You won't even feel it. So it's another thing you can do. If you like each other, then you can go out somewhere. But this is the idea, to make things that weren't comfortable for you before, all of a sudden put a new layer of pleasure on it, new connotation for you. So those are some things you can do to make this exercise program. You need this exercise program. It's what keeps you young, it keeps you flexible, and it keeps you strong. That's what you want. And there's ways to accomplish this. You can live your best. There's a concept of maximum living. And this is what you want to do.